origin of fire, a myth from ancient times. In the beginning, before the world knew the warmth of fire, there was only the cold and dark. The sun shone during the day, but its light brought little warmth, and as soon as it set, an impenetrable darkness fell upon the land. The people of the earth huddled together in caves and under trees, trembling through the long, frigid nights. Their bodies were thin and frail, their spirits weak and fearful. Life was harsh, and survival was a constant struggle. The people relied on the gods for everything, the rains to nourish their crops, the sun to grow their food, and the animals to provide them with sustenance. But most of all, they relied on the gods to protect them from the darkness and the cold. The gods lived in the heavens, far above the earth, and watched over the people with both benevolence and indifference. They sent the rains and the sun, but they also sent the storms and the droughts. They gave life, but they could also take it away. And so it was that the people lived in fear and uncertainty, never knowing what the gods would do next. They built altars and offered sacrifices, hoping to appease the gods and earn their favor. But despite their devotion, the nights remained cold and dark, and the people continued to suffer. One day, a young man named Afolabi was born into this world of shadows. He was unlike any other child in his village, for he was strong, curious, and full of life. From a young age, Afolabi questioned the way things were. He wondered why the gods kept fire for themselves and why the people were forced to live in such harsh conditions. As he grew older, these questions burned brighter within him, like a flame seeking to be kindled. Afolabi was not content with the answers he received from the village elders. They told him that the gods were wise and that it was not for mortals to question their ways. But Afolabi could not accept this. He believed that the gods did not understand the suffering of the people, or perhaps they had simply forgotten about them. Afolabi vowed that one day, he would find a way to bring fire to the people and change the world forever. Afolabi grew into a strong and capable young man, known throughout his village for his bravery and determination. He was a skilled hunter, able to track and bring down even the most elusive of prey. But despite his successes, Afolabi was never satisfied. The fire in his heart continued to burn, driving him to seek more, to do more. One night, as he sat by the dim glow of a dying ember, Afolabi made a decision. He would climb to the top of the highest mountain, where it was said that the gods kept their sacred fire. He would steal this fire and bring it back to his people, ending their suffering once and for all. The journey would be perilous, for the mountain was tall and treacherous, and the gods were known to be jealous and wrathful. But Afolabi's determination was unwavering. He knew that the task was dangerous, but he also knew that it was necessary. The people could not continue to live in darkness and cold, and if the gods would not help them, then he would have to take matters into his own hands. Afolabi gathered what little he would need for the journey: a strong spear, a small pouch of dried meat, and a cloak made from the fur of a lion he had hunted himself. He did not tell anyone of his plans, for he knew that they would try to stop him. The villagers were kind, but they were also fearful, and they would never dare to challenge the gods. But Afolabi was different. He was not afraid. As the first light of dawn began to pierce the sky, Afolabi set out on his journey. The village lay behind him, still asleep and unaware of the great task that was about to unfold. Ahead of him loomed the great mountain, its peak shrouded in mist and mystery. Afolabi tightened his grip on his spear and began to climb. The path up the mountain was steep and treacherous, and it was said that no mortal had ever reached the summit and returned. But Afolabi was determined. He moved with the grace and strength of a lion, his eyes fixed on the peak above. As he climbed, the air grew thin and cold, and the wind howled like a pack of wolves. The ground beneath his feet was loose and unstable, threatening to send him tumbling down the mountain at any moment. But Afolabi pressed on, his resolve unshaken. On the first day, as the sun began to set, Afolabi reached a dense forest that clung to the mountainside. The trees were ancient and gnarled, their branches twisted into strange and ominous shapes. The forest was dark and silent, and Afolabi felt the weight of 1,000 unseen eyes watching him. He knew that this was the first trial the mountain had set before him. As he ventured deeper into the forest, the trees closed in around him, their branches blocking out the light of the setting sun. The air grew cold, and Afolabi could see his breath in the air. He knew that he had to keep moving, for if he stopped, the cold would claim him. But the forest was not just cold, it was alive. As Afolabi pushed through the dense underbrush, he heard the sound of whispering voices, calling his name in a language he could not understand. The voices grew louder and more insistent, filling his mind with doubt and fear. "Turn back," they whispered. "You cannot succeed. The gods will destroy you." But Afolabi was not swayed. He knew that the voices were trying to trick him, to make him abandon his quest. He pressed on, ignoring the whispers and focusing on the path ahead. Suddenly, a figure appeared before him, blocking his path. It was a creature unlike anything Afolabi had ever seen, a being of shadow and smoke, with eyes that glowed like embers. The creature towered over him, its form constantly shifting and changing, as if it were made of the very darkness that surrounded it. "Who are you, to dare challenge the gods?" the creature hissed, its voice like the crackling of fire. "Turn back now, or you will never leave this mountain alive." Afolabi stood his ground, gripping his spear tightly. "I am Afolabi, son of the earth, and I have come to claim the fire that the gods have denied us. I will not turn back." The creature laughed, a sound that echoed through the forest like the howl of a wolf. "Very well, mortal. If you seek the fire of the gods, you must first prove your worth. Defeat me, and you may continue on your journey. But know this, if you fail, your soul will be mine, and you will be trapped in this forest forever." With that, the creature lunged at Afolabi, its form shifting into a massive, shadowy beast with claws as sharp as obsidian. Afolabi dodged the attack and struck out with his spear, but the weapon passed through the creature's body as if it were made of smoke. The creature laughed again, a sound that sent shivers down Afolabi's spine. "You cannot harm me, mortal. I am the darkness that dwells within all living things. I am the fear that grips your heart. You cannot defeat me with weapons." Afolabi realized that the creature was right. His spear was useless against this foe. But he also knew that he could not give in to fear, for that was exactly what the creature wanted. He took a deep breath and focused on the fire within him, the fire that had driven him to undertake this journey in the first place. The creature lunged at him again, but this time, Afolabi did not move. He stood his ground, his eyes locked on the creature's glowing embers. As the beast's claws slashed through the air, Afolabi reached out with his hand and touched the creature's chest. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the creature began to dissolve, its form breaking apart like smoke in the wind. Afolabi felt a warmth spreading through his hand, and he realized that he had defeated the creature not with his strength, but with his courage. The creature's voice echoed in the air one last time. "You have passed the first trial, Afolabi. But the mountain will not be so easily conquered. Prepare yourself, for the true test lies ahead." With that, the creature vanished, and the forest began to recede, the trees pulling back to reveal a path leading further up the mountain. Afolabi took a moment to catch his breath, then continued on his journey. As Afolabi climbed higher, the air grew colder and thinner, and the mountain's challenges became more formidable. The next trial came in the form of a roaring river that cut across his path. This was no ordinary river, its waters glowed with a fiery light, and the heat that radiated from it was so intense that it scorched the very rocks on which it flowed. Afolabi knew that this was the river of fire, a sacred barrier that the gods had placed to protect their domain. No mortal had ever crossed it and lived, for its flames would consume anything that touched its surface. But Afolabi was determined to reach the summit and claim the fire for his people. He studied the river carefully, tall on either side of him. Between them was a great arena, carved from the very rock of the mountain. Acolytes of the gods, ethereal beings made of light, began to gather, their voices mingling in a harmonious chant. The arena was a place where the bravest warriors of old had faced their trials, and now it was Afolabi's turn. "Your test will be threefold," the guardian declared, his voice booming over the chant. "You will face challenges of strength, wisdom, and heart. Only by succeeding in all three can you hope to claim the fire of the gods." The first challenge began as the guardian summoned a massive boulder, easily twice the size of Afolabi. "Lift this stone and place it upon the pedestal," he commanded. "Show me your strength." The weight of the stone was immense, and Afolabi could feel his muscles straining as he bent down to grasp it. He dug his feet into the rocky ground and pulled with all his might. The boulder budged slightly, but the effort felt monumental. "Come now, young mortal," the guardian taunted, "is this all the strength you possess? You claim to seek fire, yet you cannot lift a mere stone." Afolabi took a deep breath, summoning all the energy within him. He remembered his village, his family, his friends, and the struggles they faced in the cold and dark. Their suffering fueled his determination, and with a roar, he lifted the boulder above his head. "By the spirits of my ancestors, I will not fail." Afolabi shouted as he heaved the stone upward and placed it carefully upon the pedestal. The guardian watched, his expression shifting from skepticism to approval. "You have shown strength, Afolabi. But strength alone is not enough." With the first trial complete, the guardian gestured for the next challenge to begin. A great stone tablet appeared before Afolabi, inscribed with ancient symbols and riddles that had perplexed many before him. "To proceed," the guardian said, "you must solve this riddle. Only those wise enough to unravel its meaning shall pass." Afolabi stepped closer, examining the tablet. The riddle was written in a language that danced like flames before his eyes. "In the light, I am but a flicker. In the dark, I am a blaze. I can warm your heart or consume your soul. What am I?" He thought deeply, allowing the words to wash over him. As he pondered, he recalled the warmth of family gatherings, the joy of storytelling around a fire, and the destructive power of uncontrolled flames. "Fire," he whispered to himself, and suddenly, it all made sense. Afolabi raised his voice, clear and strong. "The answer is fire. It is both warmth and destruction." The guardian nodded slowly, a hint of a smile on his face. "You have shown wisdom beyond your years, Afolabi. But the final challenge will test your heart." With the second trial completed, the arena transformed into a vast landscape filled with visions of Afolabi's past, present, and future. He stood amidst illusions of his family, friends, and the village he loved. But then, something darker appeared, shadows of despair, grief, and sorrow crept into the scene. "Face your fears," the guardian commanded. "What weighs on your heart?" Suddenly, Afolabi saw his village suffering under the weight of cold and darkness. He saw children shivering, parents despairing, and friends giving in to hopelessness. The shadows whispered to him, echoing his doubts. "You cannot bring fire. You will fail, and your people will suffer even more." Afolabi felt a heavy weight in his chest. For a moment, he wavered. What if he did fail? What if the gods were right to keep fire from humanity? But then, he thought of the warmth of a child's laughter, the joy of gathering around a fire, and the stories shared in the glow of its light. He thought of his mother's smile and his father's strength. Afolabi realized that the heart's true power lay not in avoiding fear but in overcoming it. "I am not afraid," he declared, his voice ringing with conviction. "I will not give in to despair. I will carry the light of hope back to my people." As he spoke, the shadows began to recede, chased away by the brilliance of his spirit. The visions shifted, revealing the vibrant life of his village, filled with laughter, warmth, and the light of fire. The guardian nodded, visibly impressed. "You have faced your fears and emerged victorious, Afolabi. You have proven your strength, wisdom, and heart. You are worthy of the fire." With the final challenge complete, the ground trembled once more, and the air shimmered with energy. The guardian extended his hand, and in a burst of light, a small flame appeared, bright, warm, and flickering with life. "This is the sacred fire, the gift of the gods," the guardian said, his voice softening. "Take it and use it wisely. Fire can bring warmth and light, but it can also bring destruction. It is a tool for creation, not a weapon for chaos." Afolabi reached out, carefully cradling the flame in his hands. He felt its warmth seep into his skin, filling him with energy and purpose. He knew that this flame would change everything for his people. "Thank you, Guardian," Afolabi said, bowing his head in gratitude. "I promise to honor this gift and share it with my people." With a wave of his hand, the Guardian opened a path leading back down the mountain. "Go now, Afolabi. The fire awaits you, and the world will change because of your courage." Afolabi made his way down the mountain, the sacred fire still glowing gently in his hands. As he descended, he felt the weight of his journey lift from his shoulders, replaced by a sense of joy and purpose. When he finally reached the valley where his village lay, the sun was setting, casting golden hues across the landscape. The villagers were gathered, their faces lit by the fading light, unaware of the gift that awaited them. With great pride, Afolabi raised the flame above his head, its glow illuminating his face. "People of the village, I have returned. I have brought the fire of the gods." Gasps of disbelief and wonder filled the air as the villagers rushed to his side. They had heard tales of his journey, and now they beheld the proof of his bravery. Afolabi knelt, placing the sacred flame on a stone altar in the center of the village. "With this fire, we will banish the cold and dark from our lives. We will gather around its warmth and share stories, food, and laughter." As he spoke, the flame began to grow, licking up toward the sky, filling the village with light and warmth. The villagers cheered, their voices ringing out in joy and celebration. From that day forward, fire became a central part of life in the village. Afolabi taught the people how to tend the flame, ensuring it remained a source of warmth and comfort. They built communal fires where they gathered to share meals, tell stories, and celebrate life together. As time passed, the village flourished. The warmth of the fire brought people closer together, fostering unity and love among them. They no longer feared the cold, for they had a powerful ally in fire, a force that could cook their food, provide light during the night, and offer protection from the darkness. But Afolabi also remembered the guardian's warning. He taught the villagers to respect fire, to harness its power without letting it consume them. They learned to use it wisely, crafting tools, making pottery, and protecting their homes. As generations passed, the story of Afolabi became a cherished legend, a tale passed down through the ages. Parents told their children of the brave young men who dared to challenge the gods for the sake of humanity. The fire he brought not only changed their lives but also ignited a spark of courage and determination within their hearts. The world outside the village changed too. Other tribes heard of the sacred fire and the transformation it brought to Afolabi's people. They sought to learn from them, to understand the power of fire and the lessons of respect that came with it. Afolabi became a revered figure, not just as a hero but as a symbol of hope and resilience. People traveled from far and wide to hear his story and learn the ways of the fire. And as they did, the warmth of Afalabi's flame spread across the land, illuminating the hearts of many. In time, fire became a universal gift, something that united all of humanity. It became a symbol of life, of community, and of the bonds that could not be broken. The cold and dark that once ruled their lives was now but a memory, overshadowed by the warmth of fire and the strength of the human spirit. And so, the legacy of Afalabi lived on, a reminder that even in the face of great trials, one person's courage could change the world forever. Did you enjoy this tale? If yes, let me know in the comment section key messages you pick from the story. And please subscribe for more and share so others will enjoy it with you.